Hey everybody, back again. This time it is to add ceilings to our main floor plan. We need to add ceilings to the cabin so that way it closes in our space and it kind of represents the bottom of a truss that would probably be put on this house. But also so we can add lights later on down the road. And because this is basic, we're going to stick with some flat ceilings because it's pretty quick and easy really. Later on in the semester, if we want to do vaulted ceilings, there's a little more technique to that. They do look very nice, but it does take some more work. So we're just going to keep it simple this time around. So we want to make sure we're on the Architecture tab. We're going to go to Ceiling Tool right there. A couple things here. We need to modify our type and we got to change our view. So I'm thinking of all this. I think it might start on ACT style ceilings, and that would be something similar to what we see in our school. Has the squares. We're going to jump over to the GWB on metal stud. That's gypsum wallboard on metal stud. And we're going to edit this type. We're going to, actually we can just rename it even because we're never going to use this one here. We're going to rename. And just we're going to change out, instead of metal, we're going to have it say wood. Click OK. We're going to now edit the structure. And two things. We're going to change what the material is from metal stud down to wood stud, or softwood lumber is fine. Click OK. And the thickness would be then 3.5 inches. So 3.5 inches, we'll enter. And the gypsum wallboard, or often called sheetrock, is 5/8 of an inch typically on ceilings. Supposedly they have a new 1/2 inch product out that's supposed to be the strong, but usually it's 5/8 on ceiling, 1/2 inch on walls. So we can click OK now. 4 1/8 total, click OK. And we now need to switch over to our ceiling view, or ceiling plan. So we're going to look over here in our views or our plans. We're going to hit the plus by ceiling plans. We're going to go into the main floor ceiling plan, double click it, zoom in a little bit. Looks pretty empty because this is looking up at the ceiling or down into just the structure of the building, however you can perceive it the best. We have a line down the middle because the roof is visible here, and we could click in the blank space and go VV for view visibility, scroll down a ways, uncheck roof, click OK, and that would clean that up a little bit so it's easier to understand or just not confusing. Click back on that ceiling tool. We still have our GWB on wood stud here, or reselect it if you need to. And now we just simply go into the areas or into our rooms, and you can see the red box or red lines that are showing up. And we just left click inside of each box. Left click, left click, left click, left click, left click, left click. And you just have to remember where you've been. Unfortunately, there's no symbols or anything representing what's going on. Once you know you've clicked inside of every space, we click escape to cancel a tool. We can go back to our regular main floor plan, and now we'll jump into a section view to see, sure enough, we now have a ceiling across the top of our room. And you could drag that section view around just to make sure that every room you look in, yep, sure enough, has ceilings all showing up. But there is one little catch. The ceilings are not quite at the right height yet. So what I want to do then is use the align tool. So modify. Oh, thinks I'm in a view tool, so I just hit escape a few times. Then modify tab. There's my align tool. And I want the top of the wood stud wall to be even with where the sheetrock and wood meet in the ceiling. And that's the alignment we're looking for on our ceiling. And what really, how this would work in the real world is that we'd be looking at the truss. You ever seen a house built in your neighborhood? It's the big triangles that they bring in to sit on top. This ceiling that we just added kind of represents the bottom board of that truss system. And eventually there might be, you know, a W shape inside of here for strength. And we'll do some work to detail out these corners to make it look like this is connected, or perhaps if it went all the way across to show that too. But I'm just going to use that align tool a little bit more just to clean this all up quick. Doesn't take too long just to do some clicks. We could have did some math and known what every level needed to be as well. It's a horseshoe piece. It doesn't take too long to move things around. I'm going to go here to make sure I get this bathroom. And a couple other walls there as well. So I'm going to use the align tool. Top of the stud is my reference. Where these two things meet is the move. Lock it down. Left click on my reference. Click on the edge I want to move. Lock it down. Back to main floor. In fact, I can close this ceiling plan. Already done with it for the moment. And I'm going to go ahead and escape a couple times so I can move my section view down a little further. And I think I actually already did this. That was probably that hallway or that middle space that I already aligned. And it was. Okay, so all my ceilings are now at the right height. The next step then, let me look at my notes. Let's see, we adjusted the thickness. Yeah, that's it. Ceilings are in. I could even go to one of my 3D views for the kitchen perhaps, and there we go. We can see that we now have a ceiling in here. And a little reflection off the top of our cabinets, even though there's not lights just yet, but definitely a different color on the top here than it was before. Before we could see the underside of the roof. Now we have a, you know, a beige or similar wall color going on for our ceiling. Okay. The other big thing we put a ceiling in for is so we can add lights. Later on when we do renderings, just a really quick glimpse here, view, render, I'll leave it draft, printer. Let's just see if this works really quick. If we don't have lights in our house, we're going to usually get very dark renderings. So we have to add lights. And this one's okay because we have the huge patio door, but we need to add a light source, and that's what we need ceilings for. Most lights need a ceiling to be hosted, just like doors and windows need to be put into walls. Ceilings have to be added, or sorry, lights have to be added to ceilings. So I can go back to model, close this down. So I do actually need that ceiling plan open back up. So right over here, plan, ceiling plans, main floor. I can now go back to architecture tab, component, load a family, and we'll navigate to the Genota folder. Don't have shortcut on my desktop. I guess I'm at home, root drive. Bear with me, you guys can jump there really fast. Genota, Revit extras, cabin components, and finally down, let's see, what do we have here? Here we go. Ceiling light, linear box. So I'm going to double click that. It's upgrading it, it's fine, and sure enough it's letting me place this because it knows that there are ceilings in this location. Yep, I can add a couple here. Maybe I want a couple out in the living room space, of course. And you are welcome to go try to find your own if you want. Load family. If you go down here to Imperial Library, lighting, architecture, internal, you might be able to find other examples of lights that you want to try out. And feel free to. Cancel out of that. And make sure you put a light though in every room. There you go. Closets don't need lights. Not at this point anyway. I guess if you can find a good little pull chain light, feel free to put that in. But when we're all done, escape a few times, and that is it. If I want to see, if I go back to my 3D view, There we go. We can see some lights that are now mounted to the ceilings. That should be probably very bright. I might want to even reconsider what I have there too, but that's the basics of adding some kind of light, which will be needed for rendering down the road. Okay, thanks for watching. See you in the next video.